What's going on YouTube? Back again with another video here on the channel. And in today's video, I've come to admit that I was wrong in a recent video. And shout out to a couple of my followers on the channel for making some very good comments, very lengthy comments, explaining things to me where I might have been missing something in my prior video where I talked about a potential broken feature here on the LG G4 after installing the latest software update, which brought WebOS 25. And in today's video, I'm gonna go back into the two games that I was experiencing problems here, and I'm gonna show you how I, air quotes, fixed the problem. All right, so here we are at the PS5 Pro home screen. Like I mentioned in the last video, the PS5 and the Pro home screen is gonna be HDR 4K 60 locked. The data is reading properly here on the game dashboard. That wasn't the problem in the last video. The problem from my prior video came from The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered and Call of Duty. And I'm gonna go ahead and load into each game and show you what I've experienced so far and what I did to fix the issue, just in case you're running into the same thing. So we'll go ahead and start with The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. And what was going on is exactly what you're looking at here. When you load into this, basically this home screen or this main menu before you start playing the game, notice how my frames counter is showing 120 frames per second and it's frozen. I'm gonna back out of this. I'm gonna hit the green button on my remote a bunch of times, 7 to be exact. And if you look up there, you're gonna notice that my frame counter is, I know it's fluctuating 87, 88, so on, but it's locked. And that's not supposed to be what's going on there. As you could see, VRR is turned on. So let me click the back button. Let me pull up the main game dashboard here. That way you can see it this way. And this is one of those like, well, duh moments that you can really tell I had not played this game yet at all, because the fix was literally one step further. And if I had just said, you know what, I'm not gonna make this video, I'm actually gonna start playing this game, I would have uncovered the fix for it and not even had to put it in the video. But watch this. This was the screen I was on in the last video. I press any button, I go to options, and the fix is right down here in display. Out of the box, first load up, on the PS5 Pro, you're gonna have rendering mode Pro. Right here, unlocked frame rate is turned off, okay? Let's see what happens when I click the on button. I don't even have to go back to the screen. You already see it moving. The fix, I'll go all the way back to this screen, was simply by toggling that switch. Wow. Okay, let's move on to one that was, I guess you could say, slightly more tricky. Okay, and my air conditioner just kicked on, so I apologize if you've picked up that noise, but the other game that I was having problems with was Call of Duty. And as I navigate my way back to the multiplayer home screen, just keep an eye on the frames counter over there. This is what was going on in my last video. And as you could see here, it's 120 frames locked. Let me go up to the settings real quick and show you that it's not on the 120 Hertz mode. If I go to graphics, see how the 120 mode is turned off? The frames counter should be bouncing all over the place, okay? Which is what it was doing before I installed the latest software update here on the G4 that brought WebOS 25. However, that appears on the surface to be just a coincidence because just like in Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, this is a simple settings switch that I just did not know. And let me show you which one it is. So if I go back up to settings, go down to graphics, Call of Duty has brought this sustainability preset thing here in a recent update. I guess it was a recent update. I haven't really been playing this game lately. But you could see here, out of the box or off of this software patch, it puts it in this efficiency mode. Now, I just kind of, in a dumb way, stumbled upon this and was just basically clicking buttons to see if I could figure out the problem, and I did. And the fix is if I go in here, you see there are three options: off, efficiency, and low consumption. Now watch what happens when I go to low consumption, okay? I'm gonna back out. And right away, what I notice is that the frames have dropped. Even though the 120 frames, let me pull it back up, even though the frame counter is stuck on 120, it is extremely evident in person that these frames right now in the motion is probably like 30 frames per second. It looks god-awful. It's not smooth. It looks like when you play a game on a PS5 in quality mode where it's like some sort of upscaled 4K 30 FPS, which is, in my opinion, unplayable these days. This is what I'm seeing right here, okay? Now let's go back into that menu. Let's go back to graphics. And remember, out of the box was efficiency. And what I think is going on is in low consumption mode, it's basically turning it into a 30 FPS mode. Efficiency is probably a 50 or a 60 FPS mode, thus locking the frame counter. Let's see what happens when I turn it off. And there you go. The frame counter is now what I would call unlocked and is now bouncing around like it was before the latest software update here on the G4, which brought WebOS 25. Let me pull the counter back up. But as you could see here, the frame counter is moving around like it was before. The image is crystal clear. The motion is buttery smooth. This is exactly the way things operated before I installed the software update, but again, was pure coincidence because what I have found out on the two games I was having the problems with on the prior video, it did not have anything to do with the G4 or the software update, and it had everything to do with a couple of settings toggles. Let's go ahead and get out of this game. And if you didn't get a chance to check out my last video, the two games where the frame counter was working properly was God of War Ragnarok and Dying Light the Beast. Both of those had frame counter movements as I was on the home screen, and frame counter movement and gameplay was never in question. But I'm gonna wrap up this video by once again saying that I was quick to jump to conclusions after doing the software update. If you're new to my channel, that's what I do on this channel, is I install these software updates on my LG displays and I commence to do testing right away. And for once, I jumped to conclusions and I just assumed that the software update broke the frame counter, especially in game menus here on the PS5, when in fact, there were just settings I need to manipulate within those games, and now it's working properly. So once again, thank you to those that commented on my last video and pointed this out to me, that I should at least try toggling settings in the videos. Shout out to you, because if it had not been for that, I may not have even come across this. So that's gonna do it for this update video. If you'd like for this video to get more views and for more people to see it, and that way they don't make the same mistake I did just assuming their C4 or their G4 or whatever display they have is broken, be sure to hit that like button, because that'll tell YouTube that you like this video and it'll suggest it to more people who like this sort of content, and they won't make the same mistake that I did. And they'll actually see, oh, I need to make a couple of settings changes and we're good to go, even on the new software update that brought WebOS 25. And of course, if you're not subscribed yet and you've seen enough here that I've earned your subscription, I'd really appreciate that. I have a very small channel here. I just do this for fun on the side. I really like interacting with you guys, so hitting subscribe and turning on the bell is another way to really help support the channel. But hey, I'm gonna get out of here and enjoy a couple of games now with the frame counter working as it did before. So with all that being said, until the next one.